Yeah, is everybody on now? So we'll continue the meeting. It's been started, and I want to introduce myself especially to the new members. My name is Gary Geist, and I'm the president, going on president for a little over 4 years now. And I want to welcome our new guests. And so to stay in the line of thinking that we normally do, we ask our new guests to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about you. How did you find us? That helps us for our marketing down the road. How long you've been scroll sawing? What's your interest in scroll sawing? What's your emphasis if you have one? Where you live, that type of thing would be helpful. So let's start it out with let's go with Steve Harder from Chanhassen.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Yeah, I am recently moved here to the Twin Cities metro area in April. Came from a southwestern Minnesota town where we had a farm out there, and I did a lot of woodworking, but never got into scroll sawing. I was more doing larger projects, furniture for the house and so on. But since we moved up here to a smaller space, I thought this would be perfect for me to start in on some scroll sawing. And so in doing some research, I came across your website. I thought, great, well, there's other people in the area. Maybe that'll be good to make a connection there. And so I've been just doing some online learning of scroll sawing. I actually had a scroll saw for some 20, 30 years, but it sort of sat to the side while I did my other big projects. So now I've gotten going, and I took a little class online, and so what I'm working on now is I've been remodeling an old bookshelf that has open ends on it. And I decided, hey, I could put some nice scroll saw patterns or pictures on the ends of those bookshelves. And so that's what I'm working on right now.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I understand that you found us, like you said, on our website, and I have to apologize. I had Katie's address wrong. Instead of Comcast.net, I had Comcast.com, and I should have known better because my email address is Comcast.net, and I know people make that mistake, and I went ahead and made that mistake, but her phone number was on there, so you're able to contact her with the correct phone number. But I updated the website and corrected that, so that was my bad. I'm sorry about that. So welcome to the group. And as being a newbie, if you go to our website, you'll see that that the secretary, president, and the board officers, we have our email address and so forth. So we're all here to help you, along the line. If you got any questions, that's what we exist for, to help each other, our members, and so forth. So don't be afraid to ask questions or help. And at times we do videos and online and on point helping people do actual scroll sawing. The next person, let's see, we have Brian Hallquist. I think you talked a little bit last month, but we have some newbies, so could you kind of update us?
Brian is not here.
Brian's not here?
No, that was not Brian, that was Dick Hagan.
Okay.
That was
So
Dick.
So who do we have? Dwayne
Dick,
Wagner?
no, it was Dick Hagan.
Dick Hagan.
Yeah.
Okay. Dick,
He's still frozen.
Background?
He's still frozen.
His screen comes up saying that he's got bandwidth problems.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
There's Dick.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm here now. I don't know much about this thing.
Yeah, I think, okay. Well, anyhow, Dick, we'll let you go. You'll get that bandwidth fixed for the next month and give us some information on that.
You can watch us and hear us. You can try and talk, but your voice will be broken up.
Well,
But
let's,
stay here.
okay,
Okay,
the secretary's report, Nick isn't here, but it was in the newsletter, the secretary's report, correct, Katie?
Yes.
So do we have a motion to approve the secretary's report?
I
make-
move.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimously approved. Ward, give us your secretary or your treasurer's report, please.
Okay, well, it's very simple. There was no activity. We started with a balance of $1,703.38, and that's the same number we finished with at the end of the month of November, with $35 in petty cash.
Thank you. In regards to reports, the only report that I have right here is to give a report on TLC Toys, which I will do. The cars, as year to date, we have 1,911 cars that we made. Fantastic, fantastic. And the birds, we have 1,116 year to date. And that includes the 106 cars that Roger Elwine brought over to me this week, and he also brought over 72 birds. So Roger's just been a dynamo out there making dust for TLC Toys. So thank you, Roger. But the downside is Roger wouldn't take any more wood that I had here to give him.
No, I'm taking the month off. I'm in to do some other stuff.
We taking the month off. Well, he deserves that, I'll tell you. And the assisted living project, we have 558 items that we made for assisted living, and that includes the tree, the Christmas tree, the rabbit, turtle, teddy bears, heart, and tulips. And there's basically 3 of us making that. That's Roger, and Fred Flanagan, and myself. Made those 3. So right now we're not making any more of those except for trees that we can make some of those if we want. The other thing I want to mention is the Baltic birch plywood sheets, the 19.5 inches by 5 feet, a 1/4 inch. Many of you are recipients.
Gary, you're muted.
Gary,
I can't unmute it.
Gary, you have your mute on.
I don't,
Oh, how did that happen?
I probably did it, but I couldn't unmute it.
Okay, are we okay? Well, you heard about okay, you must, yeah, because Roger responds, so that you know about the birds and everything. The assisted living project, we've got 558 items that we made, and that includes the tree, rabbit, turtle, teddy bears, hearts, and tulips. And basically 3 scrollers have been doing that is Roger and Fred Flanagan and myself. The Baltic birch plywood sheets, many of you are recipients of that giveaway, which we had down last Saturday at Creekside in the parking lot. And the Baltic birch plywood sheets are 1/4 inch, 19.5 inches wide, and 5 feet long. And to date, I gave away 157 sheets of that plywood, and that is beautiful stuff, just extremely beautiful plywood. And as I mentioned to some of the people that are on the list that I put out that have gotten them, I still have a few sheets that has taken up my garage, and I want to get rid of those. So if you have already received some sheets and want more, let me know. And if the people listening here, if you never got any sheets, let me know, and you can get some. I probably have maybe 12, 15 sheets left yet. And down the road, you could probably get more if people really want more. The only caveat is that you have to come to my garage now in Blaine to pick those up. You just give me a call and we'd make a time for that. What I found that I did is that, you know, they're 5 foot long, and I cut mine in 3 pieces. 2 of them are 2 foot and the other one is a foot wide, and it's much more easy to stack them and store them and to cut them from that. Also, many people wanted patterns, Christmas patterns to make. Jim Barthel, he suggested that it'd be nice if we could give back 1 ornament or 2 ornaments for each sheet that you take, and we probably give them away to the assisted living people next Christmas. So we'll figure out how to do that. Many of you wanted patterns. I made a pattern that I did from the tree. It's a Steve Good pattern that I really modified and increased the base so that the 1/4 inch ones would stand up, and they're 6 1/4 inches high. So the reason that I went 6 1/4 inches tall is that you could get three of those patterns on the width of that 19 1/2 inch Baltic birch. If you just cut it, like I said, if you when I cut my wood, my plywood, I did about 12 inches on the one, and I cut that in half, so I can stack those. And I found that if you stack 3 high, and then if you double up on that, because you need to cut 6 in order to get them all matched up, and you can come up and you end up with 9 patterns, and or 9 trees. It works pretty fast. Also, people wanted patterns of different ornaments, so I went on Steve Good's site and I selected out of his 200 and some Christmas patterns, the ones that I thought would probably work for tree ornaments and you know, for our 1/4 inch plywood. Now, like John Engler said at our Creekside giveaway, that there's a lot of Christmas patterns out there that maybe they're a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch that you don't have to, you know, specifically use the 1/4 inch plywood. You can use your own wood to make these Christmas ornaments, and you know, just so that you give back 1 or 2 ornaments. But so that works nice too on some of these patterns. So that's basically the up shot of the plywood. I'm still working. We have a lot more plywood that I could get from Jim Barthel, and I'm just trying to come up with patterns that would be suitable for possibly toys for the kids or even assisted living. I sent Jim some slotted ornaments that we could possibly make. But if you guys got any ideas of how to use that 1/4 inch wood for TLC toys, I'd appreciate your feedback on that. It'd be helpful. So that's what I have. Any questions along this line on this, in this area?
Gary, will we be able to use them for the Girl Scouts?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I'm assuming we're going to have, Jim will have some in storage, but you know, the recipients that have gotten plywood probably still have some left over to do that. Several of the people got 15 sheets of the plywood, and they probably won't have that used up. We could get some from there, but the bottom line is that we can get some for the Girl Scouts. If Katie, if you want to make sure that we have some, I think you only took 5 sheets of plywood. You could take another 5 or 10 because that I have, and store them in your living room or someplace, you know, or you know, in your house there.
My living room.
Then you'd for sure have it.
My living room would be just perfect.
Gary, I really would like to have a sheet or 2 for when we finally get around to doing the hands-on workshop. But like I mentioned, I've got a problem trying to get up to the cities right now.
Well, see, that's it, Mike. I know you want it. Can you find somebody to store it for you? I just don't have room to store all this.
Yeah.
So if there's somebody that can help Mike out and store 2, 3 sheets or 5 sheets for him, come up and get it. But I just, you should see my garage. You ask Roger, he'll tell you that I don't have room for storing plywood for anybody.
So if anybody might grab an extra one or something when we get around to it, we'll be able to use up a few of those.
Yeah. And somebody may have some left over that they haven't used yet that would be willing to do that for you. But so twist some arms or whatever you can do.
Does
And-
everyone know how to unmute themselves if you have something to say?
Yep.
I just hold down my space bar and I can talk.
I think Gary's trying to tell me to take some more sheets.
What's that, Roger?
Hey, Gary, I sent you a message in chat that I'll take some sheets.
It's, okay, I guess I haven't seen it yet or in chat here. Let me see. Okay, well, I got to take a look. I haven't figured, oh, I see, just a minute. Okay. Bill, the best way to do this with me is to email me. And you all have my email address. It's on the top of the web page. Email me how many sheets you'd like and when would you possibly like to come over and get it. You know, I'm like you. I'm pretty well grounded here in quarantine. It's just a matter of setting a time so that I'm not running to the store or something like that. But otherwise, I'm home and I'm quite flexible. And Sunday at noon, from noon to 3, I'm not available. I'll be watching the Vikings, so don't pick that time. But we can work that out. You know, if you want 15 sheets or something like that, if you just give me a heads up, I can talk to Jim and bring more down. So don't be afraid to ask for 15 sheets. And if you think you're really going to use this, talk to me about 2025. I might be able to help you out there. Depends what we're doing. But it would be nice if you could get involved and also cutting some projects for TLC along that line as well. Maybe even decide some ornaments.
So now it's bait and switch, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Old business. Katie, I got down there a Zoom update. Any more callings or learnings or anything that since last month that we learned on Zoom meetings?
I don't think so, but I don't know why I couldn't unmute you when you were muted.
I don't know. Well,
I don't know why I couldn't do it.
yeah. Well, it seems to be really working good here. Let's see here. The next thing in old business, Scrollsaw projects pattern for deceased members. Katie, update.
Warren did a beautiful plaque for Swede. Let's see if I have it. Do you have it up, Warren?
I don't have it up, but I can get it up in a short while.
I thought I had it up. Let me see here. iPhone whiteboard portfolio, show all windows. Ah, there it is. Do you see that? I didn't share my video. Oh, yes, I did. Can you see? Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Looks lovely.
Great. Very nice.
Warren, you did a really nice job, Warren. Thanks for taking that on and cutting that for Swede. The one for Wayne Kish, Roger Elwine did that one, did a beautiful job on that. And my understanding, Roger, you're also doing the one for Elmer Dockendorf, correct?
Well, Roger's having trouble printing out the pattern. So we are, I mean, I can get the pattern to him. I have to drive up to Brooklyn Center to do it. But if there's anyone else who might be able to take the pattern online and print it up and would like to do it, that would be nice if someone would volunteer. Warren, what was the name of the font again that you used for Swede's name?
I believe it's open script,
It was classic something.
open classic. That's what it's called.
'Cause that was a nice font.
I wanted to point out one thing in the pattern that I could share with you here.
You want me to bring it up again?
Just a second, I can bring it up if I can here.
Go ahead, Katie, bring it up.
Okay.
I've got it here. Let me point out. Let
Yep.
me point out here. I'll
You have
share.
to, yeah.
I'll share my screen. Here we go. So what I want to point out is on the star, what I changed was I didn't cut out the center of the star here, as you can see. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I left these little joiner points on the inside between points here. And I don't know if we want to adopt this as the pattern now for in the future, but that's the way I cut it out, and I think it looks pretty good.
Tim Taylor separated the star from the S and the H.
Yeah, so that's great. So we have the spacing in this area. Can you see my pointer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, that seemed to work out very well, and so that's what I went with. Otherwise, well, you can see the font change and the name and in the dates down below. That's all that, what was it? Open
Classic.
Classic, yes. And that's just a font that you can find in the Microsoft Windows package. It's in PowerPoint and it's in Word, and so you can use that. I liked it. It's a little bit tricky. The B was a lot different than this. There's some extra lines that I had to remove. I could show you the. Let's see. I had a lot of pictures. Oops. Here's the pattern as I used it. You can see I made some markups on it, and how I had to change the B in Bengston, and I had to put the breaks out. You know, open up these break points here to keep the letters together. Other than that, so it's not you just can't just use this font right off without changing it. So, and I made a little some changes in the scroller thing too. I widened this opening here, and I put the opening in a different place. Actually, if you see it here, openings are a little bit different, but on the A here. Anyway, I just modified it a little bit as I saw fit. And if you think that's what we want, I can get this pattern sent out to everybody.
That's so nice.
I'll stop sharing now if I can. Here we go. There we go.
It really is nice, Warren. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah. Now we just have to present this to Carol Bengston.
Are there other people that would like to come along? Warren and I are going to set a date, and we're going to invite Tammy.
So Warren, whoever gets that pattern, they're going to, obviously they got to change the name and the dates and so forth on there, but also they're going to have to put the breakpoints in there or cut out the islands. That they're going to have to be able to do that.
Right.
Otherwise somebody else will have to do that for them on a different name and date.
Well, I think that if the scroller doesn't know how to do that, they won't volunteer.
Do we still have that sign that, I can't remember the guy's name that passed away. He was part of that radio museum over there in St. Louis Park. Do we still have that sign? Huh?
Elmer Dockendorf?
No, this guy's been gone for quite a while. It's when I first joined.
Charlie?
Yeah. Do we still have that sign? Because he did the same thing, but he put his on top of the wood.
I don't remember a sign. Does anyone else?
That I think that sign, I have that goes with the presidents in that plastic box.
Right, that's the one I was talking about. You know, you could just make that star and just put it up on the surface, make it like out of 16th inch material or something like that. 1/8 inch material, thinner material.
Well, I like what Warren did there with that break point there. That looks awfully nice. Last
I think
month,
it looks better the other way.
in regards to putting it on top, like last month, I said you could do a bevel cut and push that star out, you know, 3/4 of the way as well. And I showed that. That's similar to what you're saying, Jeff.
Yeah, I still like to putting it up on the surface.
Well,
Okay.
if you, when you do yours, then it'll be on the surface. That's okay. They don't have to all be the same.
Well, okay, so
Roger, you have to
So-
unmute yourself if you want to talk.
so as of now, we don't have anyone to cut Elmer docking doors out. Is that correct? Unless we
Yeah,
could
if
get
I
a pet.
If I can get a printout pattern, I can do it. Otherwise, my printer is down right now. So that's where I'm running into a problem.
You know, and the other thing with the, I could probably print it out on as long as it's not bigger than on a legal size sheet.
No, it's not.
And send me the pattern, whoever wants to send it to me, Warren or whatever. Maybe I can work with it to give it to
Roger.
Roger. Now, the Elmer Dockendorf that one's going to be a little trickier with that long name.
It
It
fits.
may have to go on 2 levels and so forth.
It fit, didn't it, Roger?
Yeah, it did fit. Yes. I think it'll work out fine.
The pattern that Roger has does not have the open classic.
I can set that pattern up for you, Gary.
Okay.
If
do
you
that
want,
and-
if you want the open classic, it doesn't matter if you want to do a different.
Well, Katie, send me yours, Katie, and Warren, send me yours, and then we can look at it, and I can work with Roger a little bit and get something done.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, the next item, let's see here on the, just hang on. Oh, Bill Dean, the Pegasus Scrollsaw blades, your group purchasing, how you doing there? You got us an update?
Yes, I should get the blades literally any day now. So they had to send half of them from the West Coast, the other half from the East Coast. But I got an email yesterday that they're supposed to be here any day now, literally.
Would you?
How many blades? How many orders did you get? How many blades are you ordering?
Well, so what I did is, in many cases, people wanted, you know, X number of sets of 12s. A few people wanted grosses. So what I did in most cases is I would ultimately up the number and buy a gross. And the modified geometry was the most popular order, but there were other orders that are coming in. So in the end, I'll pass out I'll get the blades to people who order them, and I'll then send out a list of other blade sizes I still have on hand.
Chris has something to say.
Would you want? I know I ordered quite a lot. Would you want me to send you a check?
Yeah, once I get them, I'll be emailing everybody on what they owe, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
It was all good.
Okay, thank you.
So I will say that in the future, the only thing I would do differently, I would only order a gross of everything, because that ordering is simpler. That's all.
Okay, thanks, Bill, for doing that. And for new business, we want to talk about the secretary, the interim replacement for Nick. He'll be resigning at the end of this month. Warren, put it in the minutes there. I still like to have Nick send us an email of his to the board of his resignation at the end of this month to make it official. And as far as an interim goes, Carol Dade, I think she's going to take over and try
Right.
it in January, correct?
Correct. She's waiting for the format or something to be sent to her so she can get it going.
Okay.
Either Warren or Nick can send that to her.
Okay.
Yeah, what we can do is, I could send one to you too. I could just pick off one of Nick's.
Yeah, I think that's all she's looking for. She has
Yeah.
something to go by.
Yeah, right. I'll send you one of Nick's format, and okay. The other thing that I'd like to mention was that Warren has been doing a lot of background things that not everybody is aware of, the board is, but with our insurance, we haven't been meeting, and our insurance is coming up due in January 1st, and it's like $353 is what our liability insurance is. And Warren on his own sent a question to the insurance company and saying, hey, with COVID, we haven't been meeting for the last 7-8 months, and can we get a reduction in our rate, some kind of a retro kickback on it and so forth. So which is a nice thought to do, and thinking about the club. Unfortunately, the insurance company said, sorry, we can't do that. But at least it was a good old 1, 2, 3 try to do that. And so I want to thank Warren for doing that. And in another week or so, Warren is going to renew our liability insurance, $383 or whatever that is. And also, Warren is really doing a good job of keeping the roster updated. Warren, you want to comment on the latest revision update on the roster?
Well, the roster is kind of at this point, not having regular meetings and having people pay dues and stuff like that. It's hard to say who's in the club and who's not. So we have we have 62 let's say households on the list, and some of those are have spouses in them as members as well. So there's could be more than 62, but because some people have not been active in the last year for sure or longer, we have some cleanup to do in that total list. So we'll have to sort that out as time goes on. But that's all I can say.
Okay, thanks, Warren. Thanks for all of your work that you've been doing for the club. Any other new business that people would like to bring up? Okay, with that then we're going to move on to our speaker presentation, and that I'm going to ask our committee chair, program coordinator, Mike, what do you have scheduled for us?
Well, today we've got a video from a guy named Mustache Mike, and he does a pretty good job of explaining blades and how to use them and all the different kinds. So with that, I guess, and we have another short video on the end of that about a guy tensioning blades when you first put them in, and then he retensions them, which was kind of interesting. We'll have to see what people say about that when we get done. So with that, I'll share the screen. We'll see if it'll work this time. Okay, do you see that, Katie?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Let's try it.
Welcome back, Blue Collar Woodworkers. I'm Mustache Mike, and this is my corner of the workshop. This week on the corner, we're going to feature scroll saw blades. How are they made? What are the different types? What do all those numbers mean? It's a huge subject. And of course, we're going to have an around the corner tip of the week. And I also feel maybe a bit of a flashback coming around. So grab yourself a board, put it across a couple sawhorses, and set down. saw blades. There is so much information and so many different opinions out there about scroll saw blades and which one you should use. And considering all of it, I'm going to tell you, it'll turn your brain into hamster bedding. So, we're going to apply the blue collar approach because I don't want you to split the old pine knot. How are scroll saw blades made? Well, I'm sure every company out there has its own top secret method. But for the most part, they all start out with a big old roll of wire. That wire is run through a die that flattens it to the desired width and the thickness for whatever given blade run that they're currently running. The tooth pattern is now cut into 5-inch intervals. Some manufacturers, why, they die stamp the teeth, some mill, some grind, some precision grind. But no matter what the method is, all of them for the most part leave some material flow. Now, we've mentioned the term material flow or material drift. Basically what that means is no matter what the manufacturing process, there's a little bit of material left, usually on one side of the blade. Usually it's the right side as the teeth face you. And what this causes, that little burr on there, is it causes some friction in the cutting material and will cause us to not cut in a straight line. Notice how this takes place as I start to cut down this straight line. You're going to notice that I'll have to start to shift the piece to keep it straight. And that's basically because of that burr. Now, the blade roll is now heat treated by either flame or induction method, and then it's passed through some sort of cooling liquid, usually oil, and that sets the temper. If it's going to be a pin or spiral type blade, then that pin or blade twist is put in at some point in the process. Finally, the blades are cut into 5-inch lengths, which is, of course, the industry standard. Now, back in the old-timey days, as Stumpy would say, this process might have been accomplished with a forge and a hammer. But let me tell you, in these new-timey days, there's some fancy pewter controlling everything. What are the scroll saw blade types? Holy pegboard, let me tell you, it's even bigger subject. And there is a shop load of different blades out there. Now, rather than just freak out at this point, let's cover the basic tool blade design briefly. So don't run out and get another cold one yet. All the cuts for this little project were made on a 20-year-old scroll saw with pin end blades. I was going to just show these. This is a scroll saw blade. Yes, it is in my fingers, even though you might not be able to see it. So Chip, our program director, who watches everything that we do, said, ain't nobody gonna be able to see that. So we came up with this awesome display. Of course, they aren't really blades, but they're made out of wood, and they represent the types. So to begin with, like any saw, each blade has a kerf, or the notch that it cuts in the wood. One thing different about scroll saw blades is compared to maybe circular saws or band saws, generally, for the most part, there is no set in the teeth. So the kerf width will be exactly what the blade width is. Of course, we have the pin end that we've talked about here. It comes in a number of different widths, in usually a plain tooth design, and some different widths as well. One thing about the pin end blades, and that's what everybody always says, is because of the pin, you can't do through the hole work or pierce work, as in fret work, where you could enter a hole like this with a pinless type blade. Unfortunately, because of the pin end, you can't get it in the hole. The first blade we'll talk about after that is a standard tooth blade. Now, these are the most simple of scroll saw designs today. All of the teeth are the same size. They're placed directly next to one another on the blade stock. Then the next one we'll talk about is the skip tooth blade. Similar to the standard blade, but a lot like Joy, they're missing every other tooth. The wider gullet here, that allows for less dust buildup in the kerf, and the blade tends to run much cooler. So that's why they're a good choice for new scroll saws. And then we have the double tooth blade. These blades, they cut slower, but they leave a smoother cut. So they're excellent for thicker, exposed surfaces, be a whole lot less sanding. One of the most popular blades today is the reverse tooth blade. These blades have the last few teeth facing the opposite direction of the preceding teeth. So the blade cuts both ways, and it reduces tear out on materials. And then we have the full reverse blade. These have every third tooth in the opposite direction, much like the reverse tooth blades, but they cut faster, especially in thicker materials. This is kind of an interesting one. It is the crown tooth. Now, sort of like the reverse tooth, it'll cut directions, both directions, but it's better suited for man-made materials like plastic and corian. Then, of course, we have the spiral blade. Very popular. Now, a lot of old-timers, they don't even want to mess with them. Why? You want my opinion? Just not enough practice. See, these are made by taking a regular tooth blade and twisting. See, they have the ability to cut in any direction. And sometimes individuals think there's a lack of stability. Get some of these, try them, practice, cut. You'll love them. All these different things up here, including this little Lincoln that I did for demonstration purpose. These were done with spiral tooth blades. They're a good choice. Now, what about all those numbers associated with scroll saw blades? 2/0s, 3s, 5s, 9s, TPIs, DIAs.
Mike, it's frozen. Mike, if you can hear me, you're going to have to stop it and start it, I think.
You'll soon have 1,000 blades. You'll settle down to you really like the best. So while that is all soaking in like cheap stain on balsa, watch this. Now, many people are going to ask, what's the best place to buy these scroll saw blades? So my tip for you is, I'm not going to tell you. Because you remember, here at the Stumpy Nubs Workshop, we don't endorse any particular manufacturer. Check it out. On the internet, there are a number of companies, good companies, that sell scroll saw blades. A lot of them have charts that kind of can give you some idea on what they will cut. Buy a few of each. Don't get caught up in all the blade lubes and all these other things that perhaps will make miracle cuts. And when you get them home, separate them and classify them. Because once they hit the floor, and it's happened to me, you'll be looking through a magnifying glass. And that's another little tip. Buy yourself a nice magnifying glass. So if blades do get out of order, and if your eyes are like mine, you're not going to be able to see on a number 2 the teeth to tell whether it's a skip tooth, double tooth, reverse tooth, or whatever. But a nice magnifying glass will help you to be able to scan that blade. So again, have some fun, and that's our tip of the week. Hey, Chipsters, welcome to the new segment of our show. It's called Flashback. Now, let me tell you how it got started. Recently, I was at a Led Zeppelin revival concert, and while my mind was fully expanded, and I was in the concession line for my 4th Zeppelin Monster Pink Lemonade drink, and you know how much high fructose corn syrup are in those things, it hit me. On this week's show, we're going to be talking about scroll saw blades, and there are like a bazillion different blades. So where would one store all these blades? And there it was. Like my grandkids would say, not. Well, gang, our time is well spent. And considering all of this blade stuff, it's made my old bean hurt. So let's look forward to the next episode when we'll consider scroll saw blade selection. For the wooden project at hand, we'll talk about blade tension, feed rate, and blade speed, and flex, which are very important, and blade life, and a whole lot more. Along with another around the corner tip of the week. And if my serotonin level is way up, maybe another flashback as well. So remember, no matter what anybody else says, you can always trust Mike, because you know, I would never pull your stash. Welcome back, blue-collar woodworkers.
Okay.
I don't know what happened, do you?
All right. Oh, goodness. What happened here? All right. Let's try sharing the screen for that second one. I don't know what's going on my screen, but let me know if this shows up, Katie.
Yeah, we can see it.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey Scrollers, Bob here with ScrollsawForum.com. I just wanted to give you a little tip here on blade tensioning, something that might be overlooked.
Mike, it went away.
Is it back?
No.
It looks like you stopped sharing.
Okay, just a minute. All right, let's get him up again here.
Yeah, we got it now.
Now I got started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you pull down a little bit when you install the blade, and see it's a little bit loose because there's no tension on it, but it's nothing extraordinary. So now let's put some tension on it. I like to run the saw for 5 or 10 seconds. Give it a little stress on the blade. Okay, now we're just going to loosen the tension back up. Now you can see the blade actually stretched. There's no slippage there. Everything's still tight, but the blade is a lot looser now than it was. So all we do is simply just loosen the top knob up, let the blade find its own spot, tighten it back down, and now we got a real nice tension on it, and it should not stretch anymore. But I do like to periodically check it as I'm cutting because it's really simple and easy to do. Now this has nothing to do with the function of the saw. this little procedure should work on any scroll saw. It's just so happened it's pretty easy on my scroll saw because of the little lever, but it should work on your saw too. It might not work on all blades depending on the manufacturer of the blades, but the blades I use, the blades do stretch, and it's just something to keep an eye on. And I've gotten in the habit of checking it every time I put a new blade in. So anyway, I hope that helps. Hope you learned something a little bit new. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll get back to you as soon as I see them. And don't forget to visit my blog at www.scrollsawforum.com. And as always, everybody, happy scrolling.
Okay. Anybody have some discussion on that? Would be okay if you've run into that.
It wasn't quite clear. This is basically something you do with a brand new blade and stretch it once.
Yep, that was the idea. Jeff, how about you? You do a lot of blades. Would you agree with that?
Partially. I've pre-stretched my blades from, I don't know, way back.
So you do that?
Yeah, I've been doing that for years.
Yep.
But I don't usually run mine when I do it. I just go back and loosen it again and then retighten it again. And
Yep.
some blades do stretch more than others. So you'll find sometimes that you may do that 2 or 3 times before that kind of disappears.
Yep. Okay.
I run into that. I usually put it in and cut for just a little bit and then go back and tighten it afterwards. They almost always stretch.
Yep.
Yeah. And
What
do
kind
you
of
find that that you go back with some of your blades? Sometimes will do that for 2 or 3 times. It'll stretch a little bit each time.
I guess I don't notice it so much. Maybe a second time, but I usually get it. It seems like, first of all, I usually cut too long before I go back and retighten it the first time. but then it seems pretty good after that.
Well, he said he had no slippage on his blade, but that works both for stretching and for slippage. If you weren't that tight.
Yes and no. That's one of the reasons why I don't have that blade clamp on my saw anymore. Is just for that particular reason. Mine did slip because every time I loosen it, it would do that, so I knew it was slipping.
Yeah. Did you find that?
I found that with the, at least with the Pegasus blades, they appear to be considerably thinner than some of the other blades, the Flying Dutchman or the Olsons and so forth. And so it may take a little bit, it may be a little more difficult to keep them in the clamp so they don't come loose. What I found is like Swede talked about in his videos years ago, the important thing on each blade has some oil on it, and you should file a sandpaper a little bit both ends, and I do that on all my blades, my new blades I put in. I have I rough them up a little bit with sandpaper, just a little, and it makes all the difference in the world.
That comes from Dirk and Karen Ballman from Bart Factory. They're the ones that first I heard that from.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is I heard about it in Sweet's presentation.
Right. That's where. Right. When Dirk and Karen were here, they were talking about that. That's what they did.
Yeah. Well, it's a good tip.
I think it would have been nice, Mike, if he would have said which blades, the name of the brand name that he uses, but I'm sure he just didn't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. But because he said some blades, they may not stretch, but he didn't go any further than that.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you can't step on too many toes.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, I've never found a blade that doesn't stretch. No matter whether it's Flying Dutchman, whether it's the people that make them, whether it's Olson, they all stretch to some degree.
I haven't tried it in my Excalibur, but on the Eclipse, nothing, it doesn't stretch.
Yeah. You haven't seen that as a problem?
I've not. I've tried his trick and I don't get any difference.
Huh. Yep.
I myself don't find the stretching a real problem, because I usually I reposition mine usually before I cut anything anyways.
Mike, the video was very choppy. I don't know if it was choppier than when I did it. Can other people weigh in on that?
I found that it was just out of sync.
Yeah.
His mouth was moving after he had spoken the words.
I didn't see that on mine.
You didn't have
the video wasn't choppy necessarily, but the audio and video weren't synced up quite right.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's what I saw too.
I didn't see it choppy.
Yeah, I guess I should have just said the audio.
Well, Katie and I tried this before the meeting a number of times, and it seemed to work fine for us, but when you get this many people, I think there's going to be problems with depending on whose bandwidth, and all that. It looks good on my screen, but of course it would. And I recorded it onto my computer, so I wasn't trying to get it from YouTube while we're showing it. So that's about as good as we can maybe do. I don't know.
It's certainly usable, at least my opinion.
Hey,
Okay.
Mike, we can just send the link out to people, and if they want to review it again on their own, they can do it. They won't have that problem.
Right, that'll be in the newsletter. It'll be in the newsletter.
And it'll also be on our webpage.
Sure. Yeah. If anybody wants to watch it, I can give you the link.
I got a question about blades here before we get too far down the road. So, and Katie, you had sent out the charts with the different blades, and I've had one similar. The one I personally use super skip blades a lot, and that wasn't on your chart. It is on the exact same chart from Bear Woods, only got more variety. But my question is to the modified geometry folks in the crowd here. So when I first joined the club, I think was when modified geometry was kind of getting its legs. Maybe it had been before, but that's first I had heard about it. But everybody was talking about how great they were, and I was kind of new to it and thought, okay, that's cool. Mm-hmm. I went and bought a bunch of them along with a variety of blades. And to this day, I'll tell you right now, I hate modified geometry blades because I can't cut straight with them. But Super Skip works great for me, and it has. And I'm wondering, I presume it's operator error, but I typically cut hardwood for the most part, and I cut for intarsia type projects. So I don't do a lot of interior cuts, few, but not very many. And it's mostly hardwoods. So I don't know if that's the difference. And I don't do real thick. I tend to use, it's rare for me to use anything more than 3/4 inch. Quite often I'm using wood that's smaller than that, thinner than that.
Who is that?
Dwayne Wagner.
So my question is what am I missing that's so great about modified geometry?
Anybody?
Well, I'm Gary here. I swear by him. I've tried many of Pegasus' other type of blades, and you don't get as many fuzzies on the back. I found that because I did try some of their other skips and so forth. I believe I do have some super skips left, and I may go, based on what you said, Danny, I'm gonna probably go back and try those a little bit, but it just seems to be.
I cut a lot of hardwood. I don't cut a lot of, don't cut any pine or anything like that really, and I don't cut very much cedar. It's more harder woods.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that on a lot of my different ornaments and different things, I tried the skip tooth and that, and I got a lot of fuzzies. And with the MGT, you still get fuzzies. I think you'll get fuzzies in every blade, but it was greatly reduced. And I also found that with this plywood, that in cutting ornaments and so forth, I found it almost next to impossible to cut. If you just cut a 1/4 inch by itself, it's difficult to control the blade, and so you really want to stack them in order to make it work. And I've been making some 8x10 88-piece puzzles from Steve Goods. I bought his picture, but for Christmas present, I've been making some puzzles, and I used a 1/4 inch plywood, but I take MDF or hardboard, 1/8 inch, and I put it on the front and the back. Plus, you have to have another board, 1/8 inch plywood to put the picture on and that adhesive. But I even put on the back 1/8 inch hardboard, so that way I don't get any fuzzies. Otherwise, in each little 88 piece, you get a lot of fuzzies, and then you got to kind of sand that off, which would take a day just to do that. So that's a little trick that I just found, and Steve Good didn't mention that in his picture either in this program.
Gary, quick question here. Skip tooth blade is missing every other tooth, so what's the super skip tooth?
Ask Danny.
Okay, Danny, can you?
Well, I got their chart. Let's look at the chart. Super skip, I believe, well, it's at here. Here's the description. So super skip is when you want to achieve a smooth finish from an aggressive blade, specifically designed for hard and medium hardwoods. Super skip also works perfectly on acrylics with reduced speed. The spaces between the teeth of the super skip blade are wider than the normal skip tooth configuration. This enables the blade to cut very quickly, leaving a smooth finish. Surface sawdust is whisked away, but the edge remains clean. I would say that's the experience I get. I mean, I don't get a lot of sawdust build up in there. The blade moves freely through there, and like I say, it seems pretty geared towards the wood that I cut. I don't think I get a lot of fuzzies on there. Maybe that's just lack of experience that I don't know what, you know, I don't think that I get a lot of fuzzies on there. Maybe by comparison, it's more than I should, but seems to turn out okay. I do.
Well, then in Pegasus sheet there that we have, when you read about all of the other blades as well, then the MGT, modified geometry teeth, it says here it's probably the best blade on the market. Yeah. The specific tooth design makes this blade, and these are all cap letters, extremely efficient, tolerates aggressive feed rates, avoids overheating, leaves a smooth finish, no splinters. And the MGT it's not a new blade that's come out in the last year or two. I think it's been 10, 15 years they've been making this blade.
I just wanted to know from people who are using them, you know, what it says on the printed stuff, you know, that's what the marketing guy wrote. I want to know from real life what, you know, people who use them, why they use them versus something else.
Yeah.
My personal experience has been that when it comes to the modified geometry or the super puzzle blades that Pegasus puts out, they cut too fast for me. And when I'm working with a lot of the fine frat work that I work with, they're just a little too aggressive for my taste. So I tendency to just use a regular skip tooth blade. Now, for the fuzzies on the back, I've never made a project, but what I don't flat sand the back side when I'm done.
Yep.
It's easy to do. It's done. It's quick. Usually takes 3 or 4 strokes and they're done.
Yep. I would agree with that.
All right.
No, I agree with that as well, but I just say if you can reduce them. But Jeff, talking about being too aggressive, that's basically my point in trying to use the 1/4 inch plywood, this bolted birch that I had, that's why it's hard to cut. It's aggressive, and
Right.
that's why when you double stack them or triple stack them, that solves that issue.
That's why I'm saying, that's why I go to the fine blades that I do. I don't have that problem.
So just so
And I've
that
been doing it,
everyone
I've been
knows,
doing it an awful long time.
Bill?
so as I mentioned earlier, for a number of orders, I had to order a gross because, you know, that's how they were sold. So there will be some super skip tooths available that people can experiment with. I mean, doing this blade order was rather eye-opening to me because as people would send in stuff, there's a lot of questions went back and forth, which is why I ended up sending out the chart. So I just challenge everybody to try out different stuff. And again, since I did put in a large order, you'll be able to get, you know, a 12 of whatever to see how it feels. So I'll let you know once I get everything.
Is there anything related to cutting straight with modified geometry versus other blades?
Hold it at a 5-degree angle.
I find myself with when I just every once in a while, most of the time when I'm cutting something, it's something I don't want to ruin, so I don't do a lot of experimenting anyway. But when I do, I'll say, hey, you know what? I'm going to try another one of these modified geometries, or I'm never going to get rid of them. I bought a whole pile of them, and so I put one in, and I'll be darned. I have a really hard time following a line with them. I can switch back to a super skip, and I have zero problems. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if that's just operator error or what.
Does that compare to other manufactured blades like Flying Dutchman and Olson and things like that? I find that the Pegasus blades are actually straighter on straight cuts. I can cut it better than with Olson or some of the others. I've also tried a blade from PS Wood, a number 5. I think they call it a super sharp or something like that. That was I've had really good luck with, but they don't offer a lot of variety in those blades. There's just, I think number 5 is all they offer. So you can't get anything smaller from them.
There was an article in Scrollsaw Woodworking Crafts, this was back quite a number of years ago. And all blades, whether they're precision ground or whether they're stamped, they all have a burr on one side or the other. So to cut a straight line in most of them, you're almost going to turn your wood to about a 5-degree angle to get it to cut straight.
Yeah.
Is that burr? I guess I've never looked at that. Is the burr? I've pretty much, I think, always used Pegasus blades for the most part. I've got some Flying Dutchman, I think, that I got long time ago. I don't use them very much. But is that burr on the same? Would that be different within a manufacturer?
It might be depending on how they heat treat it and how they, you know, what kind of steel they make them. I know Pegasus makes, well, the company that makes the Pegasus blades, there is a couple of different, I think, materials they make them out of. So that depending on how hard that they get after they heat treat them is going to depend on how big that burr is going to be when they get done with it.
Yeah, I just wonder if that might be something because I guess I haven't looked that close, and I don't know if with it magnified enough to really see the burr very well, but
it's pretty tiny.
Yeah.
I've heard some people say that they'll take a little sandpaper or something and they'll run it behind and just to take that burr off a little bit.
The other thing I've heard people do is take a hone and take down the backside of the blade. Kind of narrow that backside of the blade, go on both sides and just make it a little thinner. Some people say that works quite well.
I think that works good for fret work when you're making corners or backing up. But what I found on the MGT is that it feels smoother and quieter when I'm cutting. And the burr is on the right-hand side of the blade as you're looking at. So, and when let's say I have a miscut, and I do that often, and I miss my line, and I want to take a little bit more off on the right side, I can find that I can cut it. I can shave with the right side of the blade, not so much with the left. It's a lot easier to shave a little bit off with the right side.
Yeah, yeah. Because if I miss that's the one thing I like. I mean, because if I miss my line, I try to keep. I don't know. I think that's the right way anyway. It's the way I learned is to keep the good part of your work on to your right, so you're cutting down I guess the left edge of it. So if I screw up, I don't go into what I want to save, and I can come back and catch that line a little closer or shave.
Yeah, let's keep the piece you're cutting on the right side of the blade.
Yep.
I do think somebody early on was talking about the aggressiveness of the skip and the super skips. It like if I get down to cutting something the thinner I get, the slower I got to really slow it down, because it can be too aggressive. And I don't know if you have that same experience with
That's personally why I deal with a lot of the 2.0s and the 3.0s rather than going bigger. I'm cutting a lot of 1/4 inch stuff, and I'm doing really fine work with it. So I just find that if I use those blades, they just work better.
I guess most of the stuff I cut with, I cut a lot of stuff with number 3s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, I don't want to monopolize the whole thing. It's a question I've had for a long time, because like I said, I found it very frustrating every time I've tried to experiment or use the modified geometries. And I know everybody gets their favorite blades, and I'm just going to throw mine out there.
While we're talking about blades, I had an experience here. I've been using a lot of double aught, and I've been cutting some jigsaw, some puzzles, and you want to use about the thinnest blade you can. So I've been using the 2/0. I actually bought a gross of them, Pegasus MGTs, and I'm breaking them just on tensioning. Brand new blade, put it in, tension it up, snaps right in the middle someplace. Not at the connection point. And I sent them off to Bear Woods, where I got them from, and they responded really well. I mean, customer service was really good. I got about 3 different people in on it, and I actually copied Steve Good on it as well, just to get his input. And he's noticed a little bit of that problem, but I was thinking it was some kind of a batch problem where these 2/0s are really fragile, and might have been a batch issue. I'm still seeing that, but I'm just not tensioning it as much as I initially was.
What did they say?
Well, they said they haven't seen any batch related problems. Bear Woods I'm talking about, or they would have heard something. They said they want to put a video out on how to actually put them in. He said that the Pegasus blade is, not all 2/0s are the same. They said that their 2/0 is the thinnest, the smallest 2/0 that's made. So it's the lightest and fragile, I guess. So
yeah.
I just found out I have to be very careful with it. And even when I'm careful, sometimes I'm breaking them. So
Warren, do you know what the thickness of those blades are?
I think I measured them 0.25.
Because let's see. Well, this is going to be in thousandths. The 2.0, the Olson, the 2.0 is 10 thousandths thick by 22 thousandths wide.
How thick? I'm sorry?
10 thousandths.
10,000.
Well, the 2/0 MGT Pegasus blade, the thickness is 0.0087 inches, and the blade width is 0.0236 inches.
Yeah, it's a little wider and a little thinner.
anyway, that's what I've been seeing, and I just have to back off on them. I'm trying to
You might be putting just too much tension on them, just plain and simple.
maybe.
Say, Warren, I guess I wish I knew you had those 2-aughts. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of puzzles right now too, and I know Steve Good on his puzzles. He says, the Pegasus 2-aught. That's what he uses because you want a very narrow curve. Well, what I'm doing with mine, because I've been stacking, like I said, boards on both sides and in between. So I have about a 3/4 inch thickness that I'm going through. And I thought that, yes, I should use a 2-aught, but I'm afraid that that's just too thick for it and I'm going to get a lot of breakage. So what I've been cutting my puzzles with is the Pegasus #1 MGT. And yeah, it's a hit loose more, the curve on the puzzle is, you probably got a little more slack than the 2.0, but hey, they stay together and they, I think they look, good enough. And if you're using plywood, it's pretty good, versus putting up with that breaking, then, that's bad news. That's irritating.
Yeah, sure is.
Warren, have you ever used an Olson 2.0?
No, I never bought any.
Well, if you could get down, we could meet someplace. I'll give you a couple, let you try 'em.
Okay, that'd be fine. I don't. I've got a lot to go through, so.
Well, I know, but
Well, Olson, not Olson, but by Flying Dutchman, they also will make a puzzle blade, they call it, and
Yeah, I have some of those.
yeah, so we all have that. Okay.
I find that just a 1/4 inch adder, I use a 1/4 inch for the back of my puzzle, and then the pattern I put on with either 1/8 of an inch or a 1/4 inch, and that seems to be fine. I can cut just fine with those. I don't have to add another layer to that.
So it sounds like to me that when we have our workshop, once we are able to meet again, that maybe we should have a variety of blades for people to just try them out. So food for thought.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Yep. But like the video said, and like Danny said, we could talk about this all day, and everybody has their choice of blades and so forth. And so that's, I think the best thing to do is, like they said, just everybody try different blades and come up with your favorite. With that, I think we've had enough on this video discussion. Let's move on to the show and tell part of it.
So if you have something to show, please go to your participants list and to the bottom. And if you have something to show, click on raise your hand or click on more. Or if you're on an iPhone, click on more and click on raise your hand. So let's start off with, let me see what we got. Don Gore.
We did this before. There we go.
Tell us what it is.
Well, that's a magic wand. It hasn't been painted yet, but it's for a great, let's see, it's my great grandniece. So she lives in Michigan. It's for my sister to give her.
Does it do anything fun like blow bubbles or anything?
Not yet. I'm sure she'll find something to do with it.
Okay.
Did you cut that out of one piece, Don?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've been fiddling around with these guys. It's a Steve Good pattern. Send them a bunch of those and see what they can do with them.
Yeah.
Oops.
This is Wayne Wagner. I got a question for Don. What did you use to create that wand? Was it maple?
Actually, I don't know. It was just a piece of stock that I had here that I had cut a couple of sides off of it. And it might have even been something I got from Habitat for Humanity, their resale shop. Sometimes I go up there and they have stock that's square, and I buy it so that I can do 3D cutting.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I was thinking with all the intricate work in they call it the handle end of it there, that grain pattern and things like that probably is pretty important so that you've got good integrity. It doesn't
Yep.
break.
Pardon?
Well, my thought was is that you need a pretty solid wood so that that intricate 3D part that you did, that it wouldn't essentially fall apart. You know, so be a tight grain pattern wood.
Gary, you seem to be sharing your screen. Can you go up?
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of that.
Go down to the bottom and is it on the bottom or is it on the top?
It's on the top now.
I think I can do it.
Thank you.
Oh, there
Okay.
you go.
I don't know what happened there.
Next, let's go to, whoops, where'd you go? Let's try Mike Snyder. Mike Snyder?
Yep. There we go. I've got a few things that have to do with Festival of Trees. Katie did ask when I first logged in here how things were going. I have been working on this nearly full time for 2.5 months, trying to get things going. They had the event during the week of Thanksgiving, and given that they've never done everything online and stuff like that, it turned out okay. We only had a few major road bumps, like people couldn't always see the stuff they put up on auction until after the auction had started, although some people could and stuff like that. Anyways, I've got a few things to show you here. Most of it is stuff that I've created, and I've got a very short video at the end. I did 3 sets, 18 gingerbread men, and like most of my stuff, I do use the scroll saw for some of it, as you can see here. And let's see, can't I? There we go. I also did the topper for the tree. And this is a 1/5 scale model of a flexible flyer from around the 50s, early 60s. And I did this sled for the top of the tree, and so I was very concerned about weight. And I'm sorry about the bird in the background. It should be done now. We've had tree toppers that pull down the tops of the trees, so I work very hard to keep the weight down on this. This is a 12-inch long sled, and it weighs less than 1.5 ounces.
Wow.
So I was using, Gary, you talk about working on 1/4 inch. This was a lot smaller than 1/16 inch wood for most of this, which was a challenge to do with an aggressive saw blade. One thing that I spent quite a bit of time on was the logo itself. And if you go back and try to find this, you can find lots of pictures that are of intermediate quality and things. I spent about 30 hours recreating the original logo that they had on the flyers. And if you pull out your magnifying glass, you can even see some things where trademark and the patent and things do come through on this. So, and of course, we needed signs for stuff. The theme for our tree this year, for the whole scene underneath the tree, was fun in the snow. And so we had lots of different things going on underneath the tree. I made up a number of signs for the sledding hill and stuff like that. This was one shot of the snow sculpture contest. I made up all the snow sculptures. Nobody else offered to do any. So all of my pieces got the first, second, and third prizes here. So
Wow.
this is more of a close-up on some of them. The one that's on the lower right that's probably got some of the people's pictures on was a leg of a dragon. And the sign on it says, "Cocoa break, back to finish the dragon in a bit." It turns out that I did that. I figured out some techniques for making scales and things. I couldn't figure out a good shape for trying to put together a full dragon. So that's all that ever got created. I also did the warming palace. And then after that was done, some pranksters came along and decided they were going to add a little bit to it. So they ended up putting a whole bushel basket of snowballs and an extra sign saying "Pull to open the door." So, and of course, we needed a little bit of parking space for all the vehicles that were being used around there. So we have a vehicle parking under the tree. And I can, okay.
Very nice.
Now I've got, this is showing up strangely. I have the same problem Gary had on how to change. I'll stop the sharing and I'll start it up again with a different one. Oh, well. This is a very short video showing what the tree was like when it was set up. A sign made out of snowballs with the sledding hill. The frozen tongue on the flagpole. Oh, I did all those little stick trees with the snow in the background. That took a long time to cut out with my scroll saw.
Nice.
So we had fun with it. The tree raised $1,100, which is a little lower than we were hoping for from past experience. But all in all, they had a successful event this year doing everything online. So
Cool.
That's what I've got.
That was
Thanks
really
for sharing that. You've been busy, extremely busy, and very talented to say that. That's some nice work you did there. Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I ask, what do you use to make the decals on the sled? It looks like it kind of fades through. You can see the wood grain. What was the material you used, and how did you do that?
I used a transfer technique for applying patterns onto wood and other things. I use a transfer tool that will transfer a laser printer or photocopier that uses toner. And the toners have a bit of plastic on them, and the way they actually adhere to the paper is you melt the toner plastic and then it sticks to the paper. Well, you can do a secondary transfer, and I can take it from the paper and melt it again onto the wood. And that's how I did the Cocoa Cafe sign. That was in black and white. I added the colors later. But the logo on the sled was a full color that I transferred onto it that way.
Okay. Carl Pose, you have your hand up. Are you ready to show?
Oops.
Carl? Oh, you're muted, Carl.
There, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, can you see me?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
So this was done kind of the second year that I did scroll sawing, and I kind of got ambitious on doing really little frets.
Wow.
Oh, that's really cute. Whoa, what happened?
Can you see me, or does it switching?
Yeah, hold it up a little higher.
A little higher?
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yep.
Right.
That's good.
All right.
Can you focus on him?
Yeah, I'm going to have to mute people because whenever anybody makes a sound, it goes to their, just a second.
Do you want to mute all? I can unmute.
You're not muted. Yeah, that's good. That's a good picture right there.
Okay, so that's real little frets.
Did that work for you, Mike? Who asked to
Yeah,
have
I can see it.
Okay.
Right. And then
Very nice.
So then I did these.
And back it up a little bit. Yeah, and now raise it higher. Yeah.
And this one here to go with.
Cool.
But then one year I got really ambitious, and because I wanted to do 3Ds.
Nice.
So I did a bunch of these for all of the family, but then for my wife, I came across a pattern, and it's probably my most ambitious pattern to the date.
Excellent. Can you hold it up higher so the white background gets in there?
Right. So
Higher,
this one
higher.
here.
There you go.
I'm kind of angling it so you can see the. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can see the details of the flower.
Nice.
That's nice work. So that was. I was surprised that I actually tried to attempt to do it in the same time frame that I was doing everything else. So, but that was a lot of fun.
Did you do that, the vase as well? That it's the
Yep.
flowers are in? Wow.
Yep, I did the vase as well.
Can you hold up the first one that you did, because you were moving it around? I won't be able to get a picture. Okay, up higher. Thanks. That's good. Excellent. Thank you. Anything
Right.
else you have?
Nope, that's it.
Thanks. How about you, Mike Zink?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All
Can't
right.
see him.
All right. No,
Can't see you.
can't
Well,
see me.
He's working on
Oh,
sharing.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Here we go.
No, now you got to share your screen.
Well, right now I'm just going to talk a little bit, and I can show you on my camera. Oh, maybe I can't. That's going to be a problem. All right, let's go to the other share screen.
Just take the virtual screen off.
Is that showing?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to order some of those blades from Bill Dean. And so before I could order them, I had to go through all my blades that I had in all these little plastic bags in my drawer there to see what the heck I had and what I was going to have. And so to get organized, I decided that I watched a little video on YouTube, and a fella had these medicine pill bottles, and he was using 2 of them, smaller, and he had them screwed together. And I started looking around, and I realized we had these bigger pill bottles. They're like 5 1/4 inches long. And so I decided, well, heck, you know, I could get some blades in there. So I tried it, and then I decided if I would make a little divider and shove it down in there, I could have 4 different kind of blades. So that's kind of what I did. So I've got 4 or 5 of these that we had just pill bottles laying around, and I made a bunch of these dividers. And then you can just label them. Let's see if I get the next picture here. There's a little more close-up, but you can see in the back where I've actually labeled each one and measured and labeled. And so you can get a lot of blades in one of these divisions, quite a bit. So I really got organized here. And so I have to thank Bill Dean for that and for ordering all the blades. And I think I've got one more picture here. Nope, didn't want to do that. Let's go back here. I've got one more picture, but I've got all these. Let's see if I can get rid of these. All the pictures that I have, people's pictures are showing up on the right side of my screen. I got to get to
If you
this.
click on them, if you hover over them, you can reduce it down.
Oh, there I could move it. Okay, there we go.
Yep.
Okay, I'll move them back. Okay, and so these are little dividers. Well, the pill bottles aren't exactly straight. They're tapered to the bottom. So you're going to have to measure a little bit if you want to build some of these. And I think I found it was like 1 inch, like 900 thousandths on the top, and 1 inch and about 800 thousandths on the bottom, if I remember right. So you'd have to do a little measuring, but they are tapered. So once you get them tapered right, make a couple of these for each one and set them in there, and you'll have it. I thought it was a pretty good idea. And then the pill bottle, when you try to normally unscrew it, there's a little tab in there that keeps the kids from unscrewing it. If you don't like that, take a screwdriver and just bend that tab down, or you can take the top and turn it around and screw it in there, and it won't lock on you. So I guess that's what I have.
Okay. Any questions? Well, let's go to Warren.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Mike, is your real name MacGyver?
I'm always making something.
Hey, are you ready for me?
Yes.
Ah.
Yep.
All right. Here I put together a little slideshow on PowerPoint again.
Oh, good.
So here's what I made this month for Christmas, or last month. Oh, it fell over. Here's all my grandchildren. Now, everybody had to be at the meetings to get a donut or a cookie when each one of these guys were born. But I don't know if I got them all covered. But you remember, I think I'm done buying cookies and donuts. Here's our next door neighbor, little girl. So I had to make one for her. She's 2 years old. Then I been doing these jigsaw puzzles, is the ones I was talking about, and I made a box. Now, when you make these puzzles, these are 4x6 puzzles, and I made a box, and it actually is just the size of a 4x6 pretty much. So this guy over here on the right, this is a tray that I built into the bottom of the box. So you can you can put together your puzzle inside that little frame that's in the attached to the bottom of the box, makes an extra layer. This is a Steve Good pattern that he put out a long time ago, and it's for a puzzle box. Anyway, just made it out of actually a 2x6 piece of cedar planking, and a 1/4-inch board after that. Then here's another one of the jigsaw puzzles I made. It's my little Isaac here and his pony. They're out in California. And another Steve Good pattern here. He had a Statue of Liberty. I'm going to give that to somebody for Christmas. I haven't decided who. I had to put a background to it so you could see where it's coming from. Then this is another Steve Good pattern from last year, I think. His Santa truck. So I made that one. And that's all I got.
That's cool.
So he drives away.
You have to stop sharing your screen.
Nice.
Nice.
Wonderful job on all those. Nobody else would hardly, you know, that's so cool for your grandchildren and such that have such a wonderful memory of you.
Yeah, I got to put up with another ornament.
Cool.
I don't have any more hands. Is there anyone else who?
I can do one. I was looking for how to do the hand, but I wasn't finding the hand, Katie.
Okay.
But I can do one at the end here right now. This is a holiday Christmas centerpiece here. It's I made it out of 3/4-inch walnut, and the pattern I found was in one of those old woodcraft magazines that I bought from when Sweets giveaway. I think it's from 2005, I think it is. And so I thought I'd make it and give it to my wife. I bought the lights on Amazon. What's interesting about the lights is that all the new technology that's out on the small lights, they're programmed to for 6 hours on and 18 hours off. So you don't have to, once you flip the switch underneath there, they just automatically do that, come on. So you can do it like from 4 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night, and and then it'll do that. Then the big candle, also from Amazon, that's even more high tech. It's programmable. So you have a remote that you can turn it on and off. You can program it to different times for going on and off, and you can do different brightness. And then also that little flame up on top, you can have that so that it moves back and forth like a live flame. So it was just just fun making. That's it.
Okay. Let's see. You have to stop sharing your screen.
Yeah. Oh, just a minute. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Carl, your hand is still raised. Do you still have more?
No, I didn't
Oh,
realize it was.
Okay.
I went to look. Didn't see that it was raised.
It was raised when the other picture was on it. That was probably just a glitch.
Okay.
Is anyone else?
I've got 2 boxes of wood carving magazines, if anybody's interested. Otherwise, I'm going to throw them away. So if you're interested, I'll send them over to your house.
Yeah,
You know.
that's Gary Blanche talking there.
Yep.
Hey, Warren, where did you get the patterns for the names for your grandchildren?
You're
Was that
muted, Warren. You're muted.
Oh, okay. I forgot to mention that.
Somebody's phone is going. Yeah, okay.
Anyway, what I didn't mention is those ornaments for my grandchildren were Steve Good patterns that he offers these every season, at Christmas season, and you send him the names that you want to put on the ornaments, and he has a couple of different, like 4 different ornament types, and you can have your names put on those, and sometimes I think the year or two. But anyway, you can leave that off. But I like to support Steve because I've always used a lot of his stuff, so I buy his patterns at the season.
For making the puzzle box and such, is that a pattern from Stephen Good as well that you used for doing all of that?
Yep.
And did he have it even for the photograph of how to make a puzzle out of a photograph? I mean, just
Yeah, he has a
Video?
a whole. I think I bought that. So he's got patterns for all different size pictures: 4x6, 5x7, 8x10, and the number of pieces in each puzzle goes from a very low count to you can do 100 pieces in a 4x6 and go crazy like that and get really small.
it'd be nice to have, if you could do a class all about that sometime. I think it would be, for future, it would be an interesting one if somebody actually did it like you have.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do it. I'd just be stealing Steve Good's.
Oh no, it's not stealing though. I think he means for everybody to share.
Yeah, and it'd be fine with him. He shares that freely. He has a whole layout of how to cut puzzles.
Yeah, and you're not going to be making any money for it.
All the different steps. Yeah,
but it's nice. It's nice to make a donation to Steve Good when you use his patterns.
True.
Yeah, right. I like to do that, but and I buy his patterns. That's just one way to support him. So.
No, he's great. Did he have an illness recently though, or something that he had to take a little time? I can't remember.
He didn't take hardly any time off, but yeah, he is suffering from some anti-immune or autoimmune
disease.
And I forget the name of it. It's very kind of a rare condition. I don't know how serious it's affecting him.
Steve Harder has something to share. Are you ready to do that, Steve?
Sure. I'm new to this, so I'm going to try to share some screens here from my computer.
Okay. Just a minute, I'm trying to find your name so I can highlight you. There you are. Go ahead.
I'm just going to show you a couple pictures here. If I could take just a minute to get these up here, I think.
Okay.
These are, I'm making this bookshelf.
We're not seeing it yet. Did you click on share screen?
Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
There it is.
So I'm making these ends for my bookshelf to hold, have an open bookshelf, and this will be these framed pictures on the end to hold the books in place. So I've taken a wildlife theme. I have 6 different kind of pictures I'm doing, and I have at home, at my farm home, I have some river birch lumber, and so I milled that down to a 1/2 inch thick. So I'm making these end pieces out of the river birch. So I have this one, and I have one more I can show you. Let's see if I can figure this out. Got one more I want to share here. Yeah, can you see that one?
Oh, cute.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So I've got those 2 done. I've got 4 more to go. To maybe in the future I can show you my finished bookshelf.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Cute.
So
cute.
in order to stop, you have to stop.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Thanks, Steve. And again, I want to thank all our new members for coming on board. Glad you joined us, and this makes our club just that much more usable. That we got more people there that can share ideas and different thoughts. And to that point, as far as announcements goes, our next official virtual meeting is Saturday, January 2nd, 9:30 to 11:30. So don't do it up too big on New Year's Eve. And if you're like me now on New Year's Eve, you know, you probably go to bed by 9:30 or 10 even.
Hey, I know it's the end of the meeting, but Dick Hagan has finally made his video work. Hi, Dick. He didn't have a chance to introduce himself. Can you hear us?
Who's this?
Dick Hagan. Hi.
Oh, Dick Hagan. Okay.
Yeah, he's still having a little trouble, but he evidently can't hear us. If you can hear us, Dick, look down for the microphone on the lower left of your screen and click on audio.
He's not muted.
Oh, it's not. I know. I can see that too. If you can hear us, Dick, we're looking at your chandelier.
He doesn't even show a microphone in it.
Okay, well, we'll work with him afterwards. I think I can.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he doesn't have a microphone. It's not even an icon in it.
Right. Okay, well.
Well, Katie, that'll give you something to do here to follow up on the meeting here is to work
Okay.
with Dick on getting him on board for sharing.
That's
Our next, again, I said our next meeting is Saturday, January 2nd. And it looks like based on all of the beautiful projects we're seeing, maybe that's a positive with COVID is that I think it looks like that we have a lot of time on our hands for woodworking and scroll sawing. So, you know, that's good. Don, it looks like you're eating some jelly beans or something.
Raisins.
Does anybody else have any announcements?
We got,
okay.
I have one thing I can show to augment Mike Zink's organizer.
Warren, you muted.
I didn't do it, I promise.
Oh, I did. I had my space far down. To augment Mike Zink's organizer for his blades, this is what I use, and it's a bunch of test tubes basically. I made this up a few years ago. It was another Steve Good idea that he came out with, and it was something you can just buy on Amazon. You can buy the tubes and a rack holder for it.
Yeah.
And I think I distributed some of these to other people who wanted them because when I bought the tubes, I bought them.
Yeah, you were kind enough to give me one. I
Yeah.
love that.
So and it's easy to put a label that comes with the blades. I put that. See if you can see that. I just label them right on there. That's my 12s, and just easy to do that, and keeps them very nice and easy. And there's a little topper on it, so you can pop the top right off of here. Like
Where
that.
did the tubes come from, Warren?
I got them on Amazon.
Yeah.
It was quite a while ago. I don't have but I'm sure you can find them again.
Yep.
I found these. I've got these. I bought them. I think they were, I don't know, $5 for 12. You could probably find them cheaper.
We're in now. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. He's on his iPhone now.
Oh, hi, Dick, you gotta bring it up so that we can see your face. Or back it up. You're coming in. Back it up. We can almost see you, Dick. Listen, why don't you type your phone number in the chat room and I'll give you a call and we can practice together. There you are. Hello, Dick. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Dick Hagan. I'm just starting out, but it looks kind of interesting to me.
Have you been able to see and hear the meeting?
It's been coming in and out.
We're on a different internet.
We're on a different internet or something. I don't know what's.
The internet quit, so we put them on a different internet system.
Yeah, the internet. So I ended up getting on a different thing, my wife said, so.
Okay, so if I have your phone number, I can call you. Do you have my phone number? You can call Katie.
No.
Don't call him on his phone, it'll disconnect his internet.
No, I'm not gonna do it now. I'm gonna, after the meeting, I wanna call you so we can practice.
Oh, my number is 770-633-5052.
5052?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, that's good. It's 11:31. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second,
I second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Four
Opposed,
thumbs
same
up.
sign. Opposed, same sign. Okay, looks like we had 21 participants. Great. So see you on Saturday, January 2nd.
It was
Thank
20.
you, everybody.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna leave
Merry
it on for a while in
Christmas.
case anybody wants to chat.